Hi, welcome to the Dave Palmer Show. And with me in this episode, I have an educator and author of the non-fiction book series, Black Hair Love. Her series includes majestic poetry from preschool to high cool ages, encouraging children of color with powerful poetry to develop a healthy self-esteem with their natural hair crown. Sam Griffin, welcome to the Dave Palmer Show.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Dave, for having me today.
Pleasure to have you. Pleasure to have you. And I know, obviously, some issues as a child myself. I mean, I grew up in the 70s mostly while I was at school age and early 80s. And most of my hairstyle was mostly afro during the 70s. I did have a cornrow at one stage and went into school, but then started to get a little bit shorter, hairstyle during the 80s. And when I joined the fire service, some people say, "Oh, you won't get in with that hairstyle like that," obviously because black males in them days were having sort of kind of the hairstyle in the 80s and going towards the 90s, little shavings and shapes. But obviously, there has been a lot of prejudice around this, and so I'd like to find out what your book is about, Black Hair Love, because it's not just systemic prejudice; it's also some self-esteem issues. So why did you write the book Black Hair Love?
Yes, Dave. Well, actually, like you, I grew up in the South, in North Carolina, and just being a black girl in the South, your hair is a major part of who you are, and you're reminded that it's
Yeah.
a major part of who you are. So that was my first inspiration. I have several inspirations, but first I want to mention that it's actually a book series. I have three books.
Okay. Yeah.
On it, there's Black Hair Love for preschoolers, Black Hair Love, which is for the adolescents, and then Black Hair Love for teens and adults.
Right.
I
Okay.
Yes, because when I started, it started as one book, but as I began to do my research, I realized that I wanted all Black children to be able to see themselves in literature. And when I started researching early education literature, like for preschoolers, there were more books about animals than Black
Yeah.
children.
Yeah. Yeah. There still
And
is. Well, it still is.
still is. And it blew me away. And so I really wanted to create mirror books where as young as preschool age could see themselves and people that look like their family members and people that look like people in their community in literature. But back to your first question.
Yeah.
uh, my inspiration, like I said, growing up in the South. Secondly, I saw a movie Chris Rock did years ago called Good Hair. Do you remember that?
I can't remember that one though, but I'm sure I'll come across it.
But he created that movie because of his daughters. He have two daughters, and
Okay.
hair was a topic in their family. Good hair, bad hair, which for my family as well. But he did this huge movie, and it was kind of like a documentary. And he went overseas because that's where a lot of the weave comes from. That
Yeah. Yeah.
the hair, and he picks up some afro looking hair, black hair,
Yeah.
and he's getting ready to buy it or something, and the guy says, no, no, bad half, that's bad half, talking about our hair. And
Yeah.
I felt so hurt. I was watching this as a teenager, and I just remember feeling hurt that the common consent was that black hair was bad hair, and I thought
Yeah.
my was fabulous hair. I love my hair. It's who I am. It connects me to my culture and my ancestors. So I just remember feeling hurt as a teenager that, why are we so condemned for our hair, which come naturally out of our head? And so I always knew I wanted to do something special and unique just to express how I love our hair and how all black hair is beautiful hair. And fast forward, having children, I have three sons,
Yeah.
and all three of them have different textures of hair. One have tight, coily curls, real tight, coily curls, and then I have one. His hair is kind of like mine; it's just curly and it's naturally curly. And then one, he's just he keeps it cut short and he just have waves in it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But the younger two, they will always come home with this. The middle son will come home with uh, this conversation. Well, the girl said he had good hair. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, have good hair, but
I used to get that.
it feels good, right?
Yeah. Well, it does. Yeah, it does. But
Well, but when you have a brother that's sitting right beside you and not getting those compliments, I kind of felt some kind of way. My youngest son, he didn't say that it really, affected his confidence, but I can just kind of see the feeling,
yeah. Yeah.
his yes. And I was like, oh wow, I really want him to know that all black hair is beautiful hair. Good hair, bad hair. You have hair is good hair. Like ask
Yeah.
someone the whole day who don't have any, and they go out to get a hat, get what you have naturally, and they're paying money for that. And so I wanted to create books that affirm all black hair is beautiful hair, whether it's tight and curly, whether it's long and big bouncy curls, or if it's straight sticking straight up on top of your head or locks. It's all beautiful hair. And so that was one of my main reasons for creating Black Hair Love book series.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we could go into the book more and what's in it and what it can do for the children and stuff like that. But tell us about your own. I mean, obviously there is. You must have picked this up more when you had your sons, and I said to myself, yeah, I did. Have people comment about my hair, which obviously, say, oh, you got good, nice quality hair. And obviously some people don't, they don't say that. But I did have some system, the kind of prejudice side of, oh, you won't get a job if your hair's looking like that and blah, blah, because, when you're a teenager and adolescent, you go into the barbers, you have the shape of what your friends are having, in the black community. And it kind of like, especially in the 80s, and early 90s, you see it, and people make a judgment, don't they, really? Employers or whatever. What was your experience growing up before you had your sons for
My,
yourself?
my experience growing up, I remember Goldilocks. I
Yeah,
remember
yeah, that's right.
books, golden blonde hair
uh,
has been
when I was
going.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, when I was like elementary school age, we call it primary school in the UK. Yeah, it was more Goldilocks story, but then as I went into high school age, it was more dreadlocks. I remembered more of that than Goldilocks. But anyway, sorry, I thought I'd throw that in. But yeah, so
Yes.
go on, carry on, Goldilocks. Yeah,
So, I was that child that loved to be in front of a TV, and I always had a big imagination, and I just absorbed musicals. So I loved Shirley Temple. Do you remember Shirley
yes, I
Temple?
remember Shirley Temple. Yeah, that was.
So I've probably seen every Shirley Temple movie 100 times, and I just, once again, seeing the beautiful hair, but not seeing us represented. I remember a movie where she was dancing, with the older black gentleman and tap dancing and things of that
Yeah,
nature.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, and I remember when I would look at TV, I would look in the background because when I did see someone who looked like me, they were the extras. They were in the back.
all right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I had internalized as a young child that a young black person that we are the extra people. We're not special for some reason. And that's another reason why I wrote these books because I wanted the black kids to be on the front page. And I wanted them to see themselves and know that they matter, they are special, they are unique as well. So, but you asked about my childhood. So yes, and I did watch things like Good Times, and some of those staples that are in black homes. But I just remember being in love with black and white movies and things of that nature, and you didn't see us in a favorable light. So that's a little bit about my childhood, and I grew up in humble beginnings, very humble and community. And once I went out that community, I realized I was
Yeah,
black.
yeah. Was it a mixed community? I mean, mine was mixed, but then 3 miles down the road, it was, very strong black mostly African Caribbean community. It's mostly African Caribbean now. Well, it's got more like that now. But what was yours? More mixed or
Oh, mostly black people, raised around black people, and when I was in fifth grade, we moved to the country, and I had a culture shock because I'd never been around that many white people before, and they talk different, you know, they look different. Go ahead.
yeah? No, the microphone's gone a bit low. I don't know if you want to speak closer to it. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what's happened there.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, go on, repeat that again.
Yes. So I grew up in humble beginnings. Like I said, it was a mostly black community. And when I saw Caucasians, it was mostly like if I went to the hospital, doctor's appointment or dentist appointment, things of that nature. Um, Around about fifth grade, we moved to the country, and there I had a culture shock. I'd never been around that many white people before,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I went to it was a predominantly white school, and I realized my dialect was different, my hair was different, just everything. I was just like such an oddball that I pretty much didn't talk.
yeah, yeah. But this is still in Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which
Yeah.
is pretty much similar to England. Probably still is like that, where you move to the countryside. We call it the countryside, but it's the same thing. You know, from an urban area, then it can get like that. But of course, you know, that's just the way it's been. Yeah. Um.
And I felt invisible. I felt like I was that black person in the back, you
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah.
out watching because I would raise my hand, I would never get called on. And you know, where I was from, I was always picked first or second for sports and things of that nature. I was always picked last, you know, so it was just totally different for me. But it was definitely a wonderful learning experience. And by the end of the school year, I had some wonderful friends and of all cultures. So it was a great experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's great. Um. So yeah, let's move on to the books now and see what's in it and what's an offer so you've got the one for preschoolers and then the teenage one basically and then the adolescent one. There you go. So let's start with the preschoolers one. Let's see what that kind of, you know, what it's doing for the preschoolers as well as, you know, what's in the book for them to enjoy.
So I am an indie author. I wanted to self-publish, and I hired a self-publishing consultant because I wanted to be in every aspect, be a part of every aspect of creating this book. So I actually did a little research, designed the cover myself along with my consultant, and the young fellow that's on the cover is actually the son of the young lady who colors my hair, and I actually took the picture
Oh
because I
wow,
wanted
okay.
an original picture. That's him at his mom's salon, and she's getting ready to cut his hair. But in my research, I didn't see a little preschool boy, his complexion on the cover with the
Yeah,
real. So that I was very intentional putting boys, guys on the cover because even there was even a less amount of young boys on the covers in a positive light that's not distorted. And so yeah, so in the preschool book, I decided, I said, you know, when I'm walking around, if I go to the mall, I see preschoolers with dreadlocks, with locks,
yeah,
and with afros, with braids,
yeah.
but I did not see that in the preschool literature. So
All
I
right.
wanted them to be themselves and something to affirm why they are at that age, they are discovering who they are in the world. And they're learning that through the books that they read, the media they absorb, you know, like I was absorbing media. So that's when they're in that stage they're learning. Those mental maps are being created. But when they don't see themselves and they see other people who don't look like them or when they see animals, you know, what do they think about this? Oh, what's wrong with me? Or am I not important? You know? So that's why I have the Black Hair Love for preschoolers and And like I said, you see pictures of preschool boys and girls with all weaves, afros, shortcuts, and different shades, black and brown.
Yeah, yeah. And what you're hoping to project there in terms of what will a book achieve from the negative impact of see, where there's books not showing that? Is it more the self-esteem, or just to kind of bring more awareness to the child that look, this is really who you are?
Yes, I would say both. It definitely boosts their self esteem when they see someone with braids like them, or beads like them, or a haircut like them. It boosts their self esteem. Like I said, it lets them know that they are valuable, but it also helps with the biases. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
biases are created early when you don't see something affirming that this, black hair is beautiful, or, black people are just as beautiful and normal as anyone else. So those biases are created if you don't see it, if you're not consuming that in media.
yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, with the issue, I shouldn't say obviously, but with the issues that's been going on in the United States with the systemic racism, and the fact that you've mentioned yourself, and it can happen obviously in the UK, where you go to a black area and obviously a white area where they have so much ignorance. How do you say? Because I think it will help with a school that's got so much ignorance, and only really, like you say, you felt invisible. There might be one or two black child in that school. I've been to a school where I was literally only one or two when I went out the inner city area to a more suburban area where it was predominantly white community. At the time, it's not so much now, um, but with obviously issues going on with you, I mean, I know what it was like when I heard racist stuff, and if they see something like a book or a film, they might make a comment that is negative towards black people, if you like. And I know the comments that are coming out with the white supremacist side of what goes on in the States. So this book's now in a school where one or two black kids are in there, and you might get some white supremacist comments that I thought would have vanished during the, civil rights movements in the 1960s. It hasn't. How would you see your book kind of get rid of those bias? Because that's the side we're talking about, the unconscious bias.
Well, I like to say that my books are window books for other.
Yeah,
We are constantly here in the United States bombarded with, you know, the Caucasian love of their features, of their hair,
yeah,
of we're taught that the books, they're actually talking about redoing the curriculums in the schools here, because uh, Black history is not taught, and it's not taught fully. you
right,
know,
okay,
I learned more Black history in college than I did in high school and school.
okay, yeah, yeah,
So I would like to say my books are window books for other cultures to see what we love about ourselves, how our hair is a part of our culture, our perspective, our voice. Because yes, there are other Black books out there too, but you dig a little deeper, you see who are writing those books. You know, so I'm sharing a Black woman's perspective, and the words in the middle book and the teens and adult books are words that I wanted to hear growing up. Confirm, you know, uh, that my hair was beautiful, that Black is, that our culture, our hair is an extension of our culture and connect us to our ancestors and to Africa. Just all these wonderful things, beautiful things that make us unique and empowers us actually. So that's what I put in the book. And once again, other cultures can learn more about us, our traditions, our perspective, and things of that nature, like we learn about theirs.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's look at the transition then from the preschool book to not adolescent, because obviously it's the teenage. So the teenage is, yeah, looking at high school, because obviously I've got a politics degree, like you have a degree as well. So I'm looking at the transition of my life, and I became more political once I hit high school, what we call it secondary school, with what I was hearing, the words I was hearing, and it was, now in the 70s, I was mostly elementary school age, if you like, up to the mid 70s, 76, 77. So now I'm hearing some racist stuff going on, and getting bullied for certain things, but obviously hearing that in society and then getting angry. So the words in the high school book is waking up to what people were probably experiencing and what happened in America, what's happening in America, and what happened obviously with the protests. And they get, well, obviously we've got the pandemic, so school wasn't going on, but you still, that's it, you know, that age you're picking up and stuff, and you become, well, I became politicized by the time I was like 14, 15. I, you know, which has probably drove me to some kind of social justice. How is the book kind of depicting stuff, because it's becoming less pictorial, isn't it, really, and becoming more words and understanding now what's going on in society, I suppose. How are the words in your book depicting that from the perspective of looking at, you know, um, how we should see our hair and feel about
Well,
it?
you amazing to me. I the books launched last year in the summer of
All
the
right.
pandemic.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Yep, yep.
poems in October 2019.
Yeah.
By the end of January 2020, I had all the poems ready, and this was before we saw Ron Aubrey, George Floyd, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Before we saw these murders in front of our eyes, and the words just really connect with the time, and it blows me away when I think about it. The words, some of the poems that are in the book, they are definitely. I mean, I am someone who have always been an advocate from my heart. So being an advocate for love, not just black love, just love. You know, we need more love in this world.
Yeah, of course. It's
Yeah, so that's
where
what.
is the love? I mean, that's a great title for a song that they brought out as well. It's true, isn't it?
Yes, and that's why it's called Black Hair Love, um, because we just need more love. Period. But yes, the book does speak on the times that we're in. I mean, we cannot not mention that for the teenagers and the adolescents, because they are seeing the media as well. They're on Twitter, they're on Instagram, and they are seeing what's going on, and we want to guide their thoughts. And you mentioned, is it more of the words than pictures? Actually, I would say it's more of the picture, because a couple years ago, I actually took neuroscience certification and studied under a neuroscience for about 6 months, 6 or 7 months.
Okay, yeah.
What I learned is that change the picture and you change the words, you change the mind. So just think about it. Before every war, propaganda, negative propaganda was flooded. You think about it. Even, during the slavery times, there was caricatures of black people with watermelon and, oversized lips and hair standing up, and, the propaganda, even with the Jews, for the Holocaust, that was propaganda, right?
Yeah,
So pictures, pictures are vital. Images are vital. That's why I personally feel like a lot of the stereotypes come in, because on the media, a lot of times you just see the negative black faces. Maybe the pants hanging down, and and someone has robbed somebody, or this, that, and the other. You don't see, the black doctors, and I mean it's more prevalent now than when you and I were
yeah,
younger.
that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the
Or
point that
if it was, they didn't make it visible for us either, did they?
exactly. So that's what I'm getting around to. It's like the more that the real images that embody who we are, not just we're not a monolith. Don't just show the negative images of black people, but show who we really are. The vast, intelligent, the genius, the doctors, the lawyers, the podcasters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're encouraging the next generation. You can do it too. This is not who we are. We're just not this type of people. We all of us just don't want to listen to rap music and play basketball and I don't know, whatever the other
No, that's
stereotype.
right. No, I know. It's just one of
So
those things. Yeah. Even I mean, I did sports. I did track and field, but obviously, there were some heroes like Tommy Smith at the 1968 Olympics. And Lee Evans, who passed away the other day. He is also a civil rights movement person. But I didn't see much about firefighting, but I really wanted to be a firefighter. And I was lucky I got the job. But there wasn't in the 70s any role model. Well, there was hardly any firefighters, black firefighters anyway. In fact, they weren't allowed to join. I think there was something saying it before that. So it was only legislation that made it. It's like, kind of like the legislation,
yeah,
the civil rights, obviously, legislation stopped black people like segregated, certain jobs weren't allowed or so that's it's like you mentioned, it's the legal and systemic system that does that as well, isn't it?
it's
That stereotypes promotes the stereotyping. Do you think?
the propaganda,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, propaganda. Yeah,
I everything I've done the last 2 years has been around creating images that represent Black people, Black children in a positive light, in a beautiful light, and to inspire, encourage, and empower uh, other people that are watching. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so let's move on to the adolescence book because obviously I'm picturing myself as I moved on in life, and obviously I'm going from the 70s and 80s, so there was a lot going on, and in the 80s, just before I was leaving high school, 16, 17, 18, there was a lot of riots going on in the same way. What happened with the protest now? It obviously hit the UK. There was one in an area called Brixton, which is a predominantly black area, but there was a lot of tension with the police then. So there was a riot, obviously, brewing up and happened. Then it spread to other inner city areas where there's, predominantly black and African Caribbean, people being oppressed. And so that was happening in, my late teens, 16, 17, 18, up to, when I just hit early 20s. So the last book is kind of covering that, isn't it? Really, that kind of the bridging between the second and third book. I just put
Yes.
myself in that political position, but I also was getting comments now about I'm looking for a job now. Obviously, I want to get into the fire service, but I couldn't because it's hard at first, and they weren't making applications. So I'm looking for a job, and it's like I didn't get the job, I got refused. But I heard comments about, oh, you won't get that job because of your hairstyle, like designed like that and like this, and this is
Now,
what I was getting now.
I want to mention this. I just read recently, this maybe a month or two ago, in the UK, they have something called the Halo Act.
The Hindu
In the
Act.
Halo, Halo
Oh, Halo. Okay, yeah.
Act, and in the United States, it's called the Crown Act,
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah,
protecting Black people, people of color from being discriminated because of their cultural hair, their natural
yeah,
hair,
yeah,
lock, braid, or just wearing an afro.
yeah.
It's called Act here, and in the
Right.
UK, it's called the Halo Act.
Yeah.
And
I'll look
so,
more into that now. You told me.
because it has, the discrimination has been prevalent. There are people who didn't get jobs. Actually, I'm sure you heard of Duke University.
Which one?
Duke University
Uh,
States. Well, it's a very elite college here, and they did a study and found out that a lot of Black people did not receive jobs because of their hair.
right.
We had been in it for years, but they had to actually do a study. A predominantly white school did a study,
Yeah, yeah,
and the empirical data shows that it is true that discrimination is very prevalent against Black people's hair, their
yeah,
natural, their cultural styles. And so now it's in certain states they have adopted the Crown Act, which makes it illegal to discriminate.
right. Well, that's quite interesting. Obviously, the employers still try and get around that, and other establishments, still try and get in institutions. But that's just all part of the systemic nature of it. which obviously we've seen, with our bare eyes what's going to be going on in the last couple of years, with the process. It's like there's legislation and there's still people ignoring it and still murdering and saying certain things, and the unconscious bias is still there and the stuff like that. So this is what we have to deal with. So do you think it's with legislation, it's also educational, obviously what your book's doing?
Exactly. We need both. We need both, and we have to realize that we have to unlearn some things. We have some things ingrained in us from our community, and it's ignorance handed down from generation to generation. So we have to learn the truth and be open to looking through that window, learning about that culture, getting to know someone, understanding that black hair, when you're telling a black person that they can't wear their natural hair or cultural styles, you are taking them away from their culture once again. You are taking them, because one of my research, I found out that, the braids and things of that nature, it represent in Africa what tribe you belong to. If
Yeah,
you were married, it represented, that was a part of who you were, part of your culture. So when you're taking that away from us, you're constantly taking our culture away from us and telling us that we have to assimilate and be like someone that we're not. We can't be our natural selves.
yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I'll take a look at these books and give one to my daughter as well. Actually, obviously, she's still
How
learning
old
herself. She's 6 years old. So yeah, I'm
awesome. Now,
a late father. Yeah, exactly. I'll give that to her. Yeah.
yes,
I've been
I
even more of a lover of her children's book because obviously her daddy has to sit down with her, and especially now doing the homeschooling and doing it. So, so I've learned a lot more than what, if I was like, going outside because I'm working from home as well. So going outside and not seeing your daughter all day, and then you see her and you don't do that little bit of homework, but now you learn a lot because you're under the microscope all the time with them and seeing. So yeah, no, but this is good work you're doing. I really appreciate that. I'm just bringing myself into it because obviously I think you're from my era, so it's like, well, maybe a bit younger than me, but it's still, it's like we've experienced stuff, and you're doing stuff to really give that positive kind of turn it around and just be positive. Let's look at it in that way, and obviously with background with studying neuroscience and. Um, I studied neuro-linguistic programming because I'm doing some coaching, so that's always added now to coaching and stuff like that. It's a similar kind of thing, really, where words and you know just seeing things in a certain way. So yeah, no, thanks a lot for coming to the show. Can you tell people how we can get a hold of your books and more of your work and more about you? How about more about you?
yes, yes, yes. I want to mention the illustrator.
Yeah,
I She's from South Carolina,
yeah,
which is about 3 to 4 hours from where I am. But she's a young, excuse me, 23-year-old, and we connected on Instagram. And this is her picture. It's called Black Boy Joy,
right,
and I love this picture because it reminded me of the guys in my neighborhood. They were always just laughing and so full of joy and giggling and things, and you know, just not knowing that when they grow up, the racism they may have to encounter and things of that nature. So I put this picture on the cover, Black Boy Joy,
yeah,
and the team book right here.
yeah.
I don't know. That's my son.
Ah, all right, that's
One
good.
that I told you he never really got the compliments,
Ah,
but
okay, okay, yeah, yeah,
story, true story. He would be walking down the hall in the house, and I would look at his hair, and it's growing straight up. And I
yeah,
used to, boy, you got a crown oozing out of your pores. I said, God wants you to know that you are royal, you are special, you are unique. He
yeah,
has it through your pores. And so that's why I designed the cover with a halo crown.
yeah, yeah,
Because in the media here, it just seemed like I only see images where people think that when they see our black teens hair like that, they see ears, like they see bad things. And I'm like, no, I want you to see royalty. I want you to see that crown because that is what it is, a natural crown.
Yeah.
Jesus. I don't know if you know Les Brown, the motivational
Oh,
speaker.
absolutely, absolutely. I was on a few of his online sessions while the pandemic was going on. But yeah,
Yes, well, he just said this year, I was listening to one of his talks, and he said, Afro hair, he said, black hair is the only hair that defies gravity. He was saying he was
yeah,
going,
it's true. It's true.
I was like, that's the point of my books. To talk about how unique our hair is and celebrate it, love it, instead of, pick on it. Or, things from like when we were younger and said, oh, that's bad hair, or pick, oh, your hair standing straight on top. It's a beautiful, unique thing because everything that, God created, like trees and flowers, they're going straight up to the sun, just like our hair. So it's something unique that we can, hold on to and hold dear to and celebrate.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, I was lucky just to be surrounded by other friends that um, we all kind of in the Afro days we all shared our Afro combs, had different design handles and stuff like that. And then there was the ones where we had the patterns on the side, when that started coming out, and obviously the cornrows, and stuff like that. So we all was in that community. So the self-esteem within our own community was okay. But obviously, you're hearing the comments when you get out in the wider world, in the working world, the where you're going outside our own kind of community, where there's a lot of ignorance and prejudice. Yeah, so that's something that needs to be stamped out, and I'm sure your books is certainly going to be doing that. It's great job you're doing there. And yeah, so once again, can you tell our audience how we can find your books? And I'm sure
Yes,
there's a lot of parents now wanting to say, yeah, how do I get these books? Especially the ones that knows me, that are more, know me personally. I say, Dave, I want to find out where Sam's books are.
yes, yes. The website is www.blackhairlove.info. And once you go on the website, you will see our Instagram, which is BLAC_K hair love. We have a YouTube channel and Twitter. So
Excellent.
black.info.
That's great. Well, San, I really enjoyed this conversation with you today, and obviously it's a very important one. I'm going to certainly look at the website to see if I can download the book or order it for my daughter as well. So yeah. Well, thanks very much, Sam, for coming on the show and talking about your book and sharing, sharing and having this conversation. Obviously, where I can also contribute to it, give my insight as well as yours.
Well,
Thanks
thank
very
you,
much.
Dave. Thank you for your time. And I love your show. And thank you so much for the invitation.